Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. I'm back in the studio. Things are mostly back to normal here. A little glitch in the pre-roll, but that's why we do the pre-roll. Work out any of the glitches there so that they don't affect the rest of the show. Well, I don't know what this is about. This is new. This is just happening all on its own. I don't know why. This is what happens when I turn everything off and then turn it back on again. Normally I just leave everything running and I forget what settings get reset after things get powered down. So for example, the audio at the beginning was not there because when the audio, the X32 rack boots up, the like main fader on it is down. So the what was happening was, let's see if this works. Yes. What was happening was like all of these levels, they're all bouncing and I can see, you know, everything looks fine, but way over here, this one gets set down to negative infinity. So, and that's just like how it boots up, I guess, which I guess it's fair. So you don't accidentally blast the room with sound when you turn the mixer on. But it means I have to always remember to go in and set that back to 0. So anyway, I'm definitely still jet lagged. I used to be a lot better at bouncing back and forth between time zones, and I got out of practice not doing it for several years in a row. Yeah. Did I bring it? Okay. I don't know why the comments are popping up on their own. They're not supposed to do that. Interesting. Did I bring a cold from Japan? No, I just woke up really late this morning and I haven't actually like said anything out loud yet this morning until right now. So my voice is still readjusting to this time zone, as is my stomach. I just wasn't hungry this morning, so I didn't eat breakfast. Not in vertical mode today. I did not rotate my ATEM into vertical mode this morning because I figured I'm doing a stream on YouTube and it probably wouldn't work well. Do I have a checklist for starting up the studio? No, but I really should make one, so that I don't have to worry about turning it off as much. I figured I was gone for 2 whole weeks, so it doesn't make sense to leave everything powered on for that long if I'm literally not going to be using it. Yeah, wow. Yeah, I really, man, I did not want to get up this morning. I guess it's because it's like 2 a.m. in Japan, which is why I didn't do this live stream at this time last week. So, is this really Aaron we see now or just a simulation? This is a good question because we're getting very, very, very close to being able to do this live simulated. And I think we're like, the tech is already out there. And at this point, frankly, there's enough YouTube videos of me that someone could train it on those videos to recreate me virtually. But, you know, I actually was playing around with one that does voice. Now I'm trying to remember what that was called. I don't remember. Oh man, I totally forgot the name of it. But it was a tool for for training it on your voice so that it can recreate your own voice. That way you can use it to do voiceovers and things like that. My thought was, if I ever needed to like correct something that I said in the video or insert a new sentence that I forgot to record, I could use that to recreate just like a few words here and there and insert it, and it would probably be fine. You know, put B-roll on top so they don't see the face out of sync. But 11 Labs. Okay, why are the comments popping up on their own? It must be something to do with the map getting stuck. I think I'm just gonna restart the graphics because it's kind of that's not how it's supposed to work. Let's see if that works. 11 Labs. That does not sound familiar. I think it was a different one, but oh yeah, that's one. That's another similar idea. But no, you can train your own, right? These are pre-made ones, but anyway, I don't remember which one it was, but what mic am I using? This is the Audio-Technica AT875R. It's a mouthful. Let me find it for you and see if that link works in the chat. Nope. Do I not have it? I do have it. Oh, it's because there's a hyphen in the name. This is the mic that I use, and I have it over on the table as well. It's also the one that Lily uses for her studio. Newsfan 77 $595 introductory price for the ATEM 1ME Vertical Mini Social Studio HD4 Extreme Pro ISO G1. Yeah. That'd be a good price for it. I agree. That is the fake product that myself and a few others did announcements, fake announcement videos for yesterday for April Fools. I updated the title because now it is not April Fools anymore, and I didn't want people to get excited about it, discovering it today. I had fun doing that. That was something that we had brainstormed like a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple of months ago, and then just kept like putting it off and not actually doing it. And then finally it came together this last week, and a few of us all like agreed that we would post videos. And I was like, well, I'm in Japan. I don't know how I'm gonna like record this video because I couldn't record ahead of time because I had too much stuff going on before I left. And then what I did was on the plane back on the 31st, because I had like a super long day on the 31st because I left basically at 2 a.m. Pacific time and then got back to Portland at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I had like extra long day. I was chatting with them in Discord, and I was like, okay, if somebody can just give me like a list of bullet points, I'll write the script on the plane and I'll film it in the morning when after I land. And I somehow managed to pull it off. So I wrote the outline, wrote the script on the plane yesterday morning at about 7 a.m. Lily hadn't actually come home yet because we were on different flights coming back, and she got stuck in Chicago, and then had to get a flight to Denver and slept at a hotel for like 2 hours there before coming back. So she had a much worse time getting back than I did. Mine was relatively straightforward. So I got back like, ended up being pretty late after I was waiting for bags and stuff. It was like 9 p.m. or something. So went to bed, got up at like 7 in the morning, biked over to the studio, turned everything back on here, filmed for a couple minutes, did the edit right here in like an hour, and then posted it before 10 a.m. And I'm glad I did that. It was fun. I'm glad I could be part of that. Doug's video, if you haven't seen it, fantastic, amazing. Definitely go watch his video because he went all out on that, and it's just this. It just gets more and more chaotic as you go through. So let me go, and here I'll link to mine, and then my video links to a few others from this little gag that we did, which was a lot of fun. Fake April, fake Blackmagic announcement video. Is that gonna work? It's weird. My YouTube studio is like showing me old chat. I guess I'm just gonna reload that page. Sometimes the YouTube studio page just doesn't. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now I see all the chats. Cool. The flames and the smoke from the beta in Doug's video was impressive. Yes, I agree. Yeah, Doug did a very, very good video. I'm glad you enjoyed both the videos, Philip. Did we both get the same leaked images from Blackmagic? So I had actually started sketching up a version of that, and I don't know what happened to mine, but then Doug ended up putting together the one that you saw in the video, and I'm scrolling back to see if I can find the. Oh yeah, mine was not quite. Mine was a different aspect ratio. So the one that. Oh, why can't I? There we go. This is the one that I had started putting together. I didn't get very far with it, as you can see, but I like what Doug did with his. Mine's a different shape. I went with the 4 buttons on the bottom. I was going to fill in the buttons up here once I got farther with it. Now are those Discord sounds coming into the stream? I think they are. I need to fix that. They are. Okay, let's at least do that. Chaos stream. Okay, we're about to get weirder though. So oh yeah, Cookie Monster made an appearance in Doug's video. His was great. Go watch Doug's video. It's fantastic. What are you doing? Says I should have caught on at the uncrashable chip, but it wasn't until you rotated the ATEM. I know. I added the uncrashable thing just because I thought it was a funny. The whole video was very subtle, and I was hoping that by the end, once I rotated it, would become very obvious that it was fake. And apparently, I got a lot of people with that. Sorry if you fell for it and didn't think weren't ready for that. This video did way better than any other video on my channel, which is a little bit embarrassing. I don't know if that's because everybody wants a vertical ATEM or because I don't know what. 2.4 times higher than normal views. Look at that curve compared to my normal curve. And then this I think is hilarious. I lost 2 subscribers from this video and then got them both back. People apparently didn't think it was funny or didn't like having a joke played on them. Too bad. That's the internet. Making the buttons work in reverse Polish would be even better. God. Looking forward to the one input version. Yep. Yep. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Tim, brilliant. I started searching for it immediately. Well, hopefully you found the other videos then. Power of clickbait. Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. I had this idea right yesterday after seeing how this video was going. You know how I've done a couple of videos that are like wish list videos, and they're like legitimate, you know, wish list videos. Like I've done a couple of these for Blackmagic and YOLO, being like, here's what I think I would like to see in a future product, either specifically from Blackmagic or just in general. I have fun putting those together, and I think it's interesting to like think about what could future products include. I'm really, really, really tempted to make a separate channel that is just fake announcements based on those videos. So anytime I do a wishlist video, I then also record a version of it that's the actual announcement as if the product were real, and I post that on its own channel of just like fake product announcements. And I think it'd be hilarious. Maybe this is the jet lag talking. I think it would be funny. If anybody else would subscribe to that channel, let me know, because maybe I will do it. Maybe I will do it. Okay. The thing is, it's believable. It's sort of believable. We were trying to figure out what would make it, as we were like brainstorming on what could a vertical ATEM include. I think we all kind of realized that it actually was slightly believable, where like we need to find something that kind of pushes it into the unbelievable territory, which was where the rotating came from. Gerhard says, I'm still waiting for the ATEM Nano. I know, me too, right? I still think that would be a good idea. Oh, what are you doing is reminding people. Great, thank you. I totally forgot to mention this at the beginning. If you do have a question, put the letter Q in front, and I'll get to it later. What happens is the chat kind of starts going by really quick, and I can't scroll back fast enough to catch everything. So if you put Q in front, it filters it out so I can see the questions better. And I will try to not miss them. Okay. Fake product announcement channel. Yes. Okay. Great. Anyway. Charback says, awesome use of ChatGPT. I'm amazed. I hate writing YouTube descriptions. Now I just download the subtitle file. It's automatically generated, and it writes my descriptions for me. That's a good use of it. Yeah. I think it's a great use of it. So what I wanted to do today was actually test this out. Before we get to that, let me see if there's any other. Did Blackmagic respond kindly? Not at all. No, not at all. I didn't hear anything from them. They're very quiet. I was lucky enough that at NAB last year, somebody at the booth actually mentioned that they did watch one of my videos about the wish list, and it was the one before the ATEM Mini Extreme was out. So it was when I made the fake product for, let me see if I can even find it. What did I call it? I called it, I'm gonna have to find it in a playlist, I think. It was quite a long time ago. Aha, okay. It was the one, so after they announced it, I made this video. This one links to the other wish list video. Does it do that? Oh, it doesn't do it. It's the one that's in this. Aha, this one. So this is where I made the fake product for it. Let me see if I can find the screenshot of it, thumbnail of it. But this would be like an example of this video. I basically just laid out all the things that I want in the next video or in the next ATEM and why, and was basically my wish list for the next ATEM Mini, two SDI inputs, mic inputs, all that kind of stuff. Form factor, here we go. So this is where I made the little fake diagram or fake picture of it. But like, I think it'd be hilarious to then take all this and then make a video as if it already existed. Anyway, what was the point I was making here? Oh yes, I was at NAB and somebody at the booth mentioned that they did actually see this video. And of course, the way the product development works is they were already way far along in the development of the ATEM Mini Extreme. So when I posted this, it was more like they already were working on the ATEM Mini Extreme, and they were just like, oh, it's interesting how much of it you like guessed essentially in your video that we were already doing. So it's not like this helped influence ATEM Mini Extreme because it was already far enough along in its development that anything I said in this video was not going to affect it. But they did mention they saw it, and that was the only like feedback I've gotten about from anybody at Blackmagic about it, because they're very quiet about it. The Tech Chief says, if you would have paired the new Apple AR VR glasses with an ATEM Mini, your video would have hit an all-time high. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There's a question here from Asher. Why do you need a 40 channel switcher? You can kind of follow along in, if you've been following along with the live streams on this channel, you will kind of know what happened, which was essentially, I started with ATEM Mini, the 4 input, very quickly filled up the 4 inputs, got a second ATEM Mini, and I was able to use 7 inputs for it, for the stream, and I got pretty far with that. And then the ATEM Mini Extreme came out, and I redid the setup into an ATEM Mini plus my old TV Studio HD, so I could put graphics over the top without using up 2 of the inputs in the Extreme, which gave me 8 inputs for video sources. And I went a very long time on that setup and did very well. But I started getting more and more things to plug into it. And it's not just cameras, because remember, so I have a couple different camera angles around here, but I also have the 2 main locations here. So I have, this shot, and then I have this shot over here when I shoot videos over there. And then both have an overhead, and then I have a side camera also. So that's already 5 cameras. But then it's like my computer screen, or if I want to plug in the output of another device that I'm showing on a stream, like the multi-view of an ATEM, or the screen of a Yolobox, or an Apple TV, so that I can share pictures from a phone or use it as a wireless camera, things like that. So all these things started like piling up, and then I've got like the streaming bridge or the Magewell to receive remote feeds. All these things just started piling up, and I quickly got to have more than 8. And then I got the SDI matrix to give me the ability to switch 20 and route them into those 8. And then once the Constellation line was announced, I was like, okay, I'm probably going to get this because I think it makes sense. And it's between the 20 input or the 40 input, and the 20 input one has only 12 outputs. And I started making a list of all the things I wanted to send video out to. And if you start looking around here, you realize that there's actually more than 12 pretty fast, because I have all these different monitors, like the teleprompter, or this screen that's up here. That screen, which is the multi-view, or a screen I can route stuff to, but it's showing me the web presenter right now, so I can see the audio levels or whatever. I have one output feeding this screen for the audio metering. I've got there's just a bunch of different screens that I want to send stuff to, and I made a list, and then it got to be more than 12 outputs. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get the 40 input switcher, because I don't think I'm going to use all 40, and then I get the 24 outputs. So I think I think it was the right call, because so far, basically what it means is that I haven't had to use the SDI matrix. Everything is routed through the ATEM, and I don't have to think about it anymore. So I can very quickly just take any of the inputs, send them to any of the outputs, and what it means is that I also have enough extra ins and outs that if I want to make a video about the ATEM Mini or the Yolobox, but let's take the ATEM Mini for example, that has 4 inputs and 1 output. I want to send a copy of all these cameras to that ATEM, and I want to take its multi-view and send it back out into the stream or some recording. So that's, 4 outputs from the switcher and 1 input already. So it's really because the it's really because a lot of this comes down to the fact that the videos I'm making are about video gear. So I actually need more inputs and outputs than you would normally need for just a studio with 1 person in it. If I was making just videos with me and like, an overhead camera or whatever, or my computer screen, I could get by with the ATEM Mini Pro just fine. But once I need to show you what's on the Yolobox screen and be able to feed video into the Yolobox while also recording those cameras, it's super nice to have the flexibility of the 40 input and 24 output routing. So long answer, I guess, but that's kind of the adventure that has been happening on this channel. And Nil says, someone bought half a dozen box cameras. Yes, so I did replace all the cameras with the box cameras, and now I have all the same cameras, which is really nice, and they're all network controlled. And Eric says, run out of outputs when you use key fill graphics. It's 2 connectors for what's essentially 1 source. Totally. So as soon as you want to use key fill graphics so that you can do proper transparency, which is how I'm doing this chat, for example, that takes 2 inputs on a switcher. So if it's an ATEM Mini Pro, you only have 2 inputs left. And on the ATEM Mini Extreme, that would leave 6 inputs. And then if you want to do 2 of those, like let's say you have the Ultra Studio for doing graphics from OBS or from a computer of some sort, plus a hybrid deck where you're playing videos back with transparency. Now you've eaten up 4 inputs, which is half of the inputs on the ATEM Mini Extreme. So, yeah, okay. Anyway, I see a bunch of good questions coming in, and what I wanted to do was talk a little bit about ChatGPT and see if we can use it to answer some of these questions. And I'll talk a little bit about what is going on here. This is still very early beta. I haven't finished feeding it all the data yet, but essentially what I've been doing, I had a friend help me out with this because this is going through all these API docs is confusing, and a lot of the terminology that they use in this world is not familiar to me. So what is going on is I was able to essentially export all of the comments on my YouTube videos, and I took all of the comments that I've responded to, took my answers and fed them into this massive database. And I use that as an input into ChatGPT. And I can't say that I'm training it on it because that's technically not what's happening. And people will get mad at me who actually know things about AI. I'm not training it on my data, but I am using it as input into that prompt, I guess. So if we let's take a question here and see how it answers it compared to how I would answer it as a real person, and see if my comments were the existing training data is enough to give a good answer. Okay. Serban says, if I have 3 cameras that are all USB, do I need an ATEM Mini? I use a Stream Deck and OBS to switch scenes. So let's see what the bot does with this. I'm going to paste in the question, and we're going to see what it does. My eventual plan is to train this with, to input all of my transcripts of all my videos into this to feed it more information, but this is just based on the comments right now. So let's see. If you have 3 USB cameras, you don't necessarily need an ATEM Mini. You can use OBS to switch between the scenes, but if at some point you want to add some effects, picture-in-picture or graphics in the ATEM Mini could come in handy. You can set up macros to perform certain actions on the ATEM Mini, like switching between cameras. That would then be triggered from the Stream Deck. It can also help you switch seamlessly between the scenes with the press of a button. Pretty good. Oh, that's interesting. That is not the source it was supposed to quote. It did pretty good, but it didn't understand the fact that ATEM Minis actually don't have USB inputs for cameras. So that part is definitely missing. But so how I would actually answer this is, if you have 3 USB cameras, you actually can't use it with an ATEM Mini, really, because there's no way to input those into the ATEM Mini directly. You could buy a converter for each of the cameras to convert USB cameras to HDMI, which does exist, and I have a couple of videos about that. But that is at that point, it's probably not worth it, because the cost of that doesn't really make sense for the type of USB cameras or the quality of USB cameras. I haven't seen a USB camera that is such good quality that it's worth spending all that extra money to turn it into HDMI. Except for the ones that are like weird cameras, like document cameras or microscopes, or things that are just like harder to get as a regular camera. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see how it does on this one. Got a Live Pro L1 for $200 on a deal on Amazon. That is a good deal. Debating if I should keep it or go for the 300 ATEM Mini Pro. Let's see what it thinks about that. I need a little sound effect for this. If you're happy with the features of the... Is it? I feel like it's not... It's using... What video is this? It's supposed to be only using my own videos as sources for this. Oh, that is. Okay. It's just called something weird. That was this video from Multiview on the ATEM Mini from a long time ago. If you're happy with the features of the Live Pro L1 and it fits your workflow, there may not be any need to upgrade to the ATEM Mini Pro. However, if you need additional features that the ATEM Pro, I don't know why it's calling it that, provides, such as built-in multi-view, it may be worth the upgrade. You can also consider the ATEM Mini Pro, which is cheaper, more responsive, but doesn't have all the features of the ATEM Pro. I don't know what it thinks the ATEM Pro is. So not perfect. Not perfect yet. Oh, it's because the question had ATEM Pro in it, so it thinks that's a product. Let's see if it does better when it has better input. It really depends on the features that you need. That is true. The ATEM Mini Pro definitely has more features and is more organized. That's an interesting. However, it's $100 more expensive than the Live Pro L1 that you already have. If you need the extra features, it might be worth it to upgrade to the ATEM Mini Pro. However, if you're just starting out and don't need all the bells and whistles, the Live Pro L1 might serve your needs just fine. How nice and very neutral and carving out all the exceptions. Good job, ChatGPT. Okay, but for reals, what would I think? No, I guess that is actually the real answer. Like literally, if you are just using the features in the L1 that are fine, then that's great. The ATEM Mini Pro does have more features, and if you don't need them, don't bother paying $300 for it. But I will say that ATEM Mini Pro does have quite a lot more features than the Live Pro L1. Probably the biggest difference would be the streaming encoder, because the Live Pro L1 is just like the original ATEM Mini, where it's just the switcher and USB webcam. So the ATEM Mini Pro has the streaming encoder that you can push directly to YouTube or whatever. So that's probably the biggest difference. I'm hoping that once I feed it more of the transcripts from my actual videos, that it will do better at these kinds of answers. So right now, this is only based on the comments in my videos I've been answering. Is it true that there's going to be a giveaway? No, that was, I don't know who even commented that, but it's definitely, there's no giveaway of the fake product. Sorry. Okay, good. Got some more questions for the bot. Which camera manufacturer is better, Panasonic or Sony? I bet you it's gonna do another one of those like, well, it depends on what you need answers. Let's find out. Both Panasonic and Sony make great cameras, so it really depends on your needs and preferences. Yep. The Lumix GH5 is a popular camera for video production, especially for those who need high frame rates, it's true, and a more cinematic look. Although you can definitely get Sony cameras with high frame rates too, they're just very expensive. For vlogging and content creation, Sony has some great options like the ZV-1 or the ZV-E10. You can tell those are the cameras I talk about the most, Sony cameras. It really depends on what you're looking for in a camera. Yes, that is correct. Oh, let's see how it does on an actual how-to question. How do I set up chroma keying in the ATEM? Let's see what it says. There may not be enough context in the comments for this, but let's see. To set up chroma keying in the ATEM, you need to go to the upstream keyer section and select the chroma keyer menu. Here you can adjust the settings to get the desired effect. For example, you can select the color or you want to key out, adjust the similarity, and tweak other settings as needed. Remember to enable the upstream key when you're done configuring the settings. That sounds 100% accurate to me. And then this is the video that it's from, which I think is, oh, graphics and titles. Okay. Oh, I think it was a chapter marker in the video. Yeah, that one did pretty good. That's good. How did I feed the ChatGPT? So what I did was because of the way that I'm doing these comments and like manage the channel, I actually have a database of every comment that is on all of my videos. So let me see if I can find it. I think I can show it on the screen without revealing anything. I don't think there's anything secret in here. Yeah, so this is what the database looks like. And you can see that it's just got all of the text of all the comments and it knows if it's me or not, right? So what I did was I made a copy of every comment from me, grabbed the text. Now I've got a bunch of fake stuff from that fake video, which is, I should probably take that out of the data set. So for any comment that I made, I take the text of my comment and then it knows what it's in response to. So if you look, there's like the parent comment ID. So if we find the parent comment ID, then it also takes this question and it feeds that into the input of the prompt of ChatGPT. So again, it's not quite training it on it, but it's basically feeding it a bunch more context for the answer, and then it uses that to help answer the question. What's the function of the stinger key on the ATEM? Good question. Let's find out. Let's see what it thinks. The function of the stinger key on the ATEM is to use a clip to transition from the preview image to the program output. That is true. You can add stinger. What is this quote from? You can add stinger transitions to your ATEM Mini switcher as dramatic image transitions for your live event programming. The switcher can accept a clip with an alpha channel and one without. I mean, that's true, but not on the ATEM Mini. But that is an accurate description of what a stinger is. I've seen ChatGPT being used to write code. Can you get it to write or edit a macro? Oh. Interesting question. Oh, but David has a, before I do that, which is a more of a tangent. Can you ask these questions to the original ChatGPT and see how it responds without your answers? Good point. So let's go do that. And I'm going to do this on the ChatGPT 3.5, not 4, because I can't, there's no API access to 4 yet, so it's not a fair comparison. But let's try this. So here is, let's see how it does without my context. I assume you're referring to the ATEM switcher produced by Blackmagic Design. This term stinger key is typically used in the video production industry to describe a technique used in live events. Wow, this is a long answer. Okay, it did that. It did pretty well with that because that is like factual. It's like data that's out there, right? It's a fact. Let's see how it does with some of the other questions we were asking it, like which camera manufacturer is better, Panasonic or Sony? Let's see what it thinks about that and see if that's different from what I think about it. Okay, so it's also saying it depends on your needs. Notice that it did not mention Sony's ZV-1 or E10 because that was something that my comments tend to mention more than the whole internet, right? Interesting data point. Let's see. What was another one that I did? And the camera, the question about USB cameras. Let's see how it does on that one, because this one's kind of tricky. If you only need to switch between scenes and you're satisfied with the capabilities of OBS, then you may not need an ATEM Mini. So it's also not, it also doesn't understand. Yeah, it also doesn't understand that USB cameras can't be connected directly to the ATEM Mini. So this is another thing that I've been thinking about with this exercise of using AI to help answer questions. Once I've got, all of my video transcripts loaded in and I ask it questions like that, if it is missing context, like the fact that you can't plug a USB webcam into an ATEM Mini, then what that means is that I don't have content about that, which means maybe I should make content about that so that people can discover that easier. So that is something I've been thinking about, is like, okay, well, how does it answer a question? And then if I don't like the answer because it's wrong, I can make a video that provides the correct information so that it could answer that question better. So using it to kind of identify gaps in my own content. All right, let's see. From Hardy Media, describe the optimal connections and routing for Blackmagic ATEM ISO Extreme, Blackmagic Cinema Camera 4K, Midas MR18 audio mixer where microphone is attached directly to the Blackmagic camera. Is this a question for me, or do you want to test how the bot answers? Let's see. Frankly, I don't think there's a lot of options for this. I think let's see what it says. Route the microphone into an external recorder. Feed the audio with an 8-inch audio cable into the input of the Blackmagic ATEM Mini. Didn't you say the microphone is connected to the camera? Yeah, it's just making stuff up now. It did not understand the question. If you want the microphone attached directly to the Blackmagic camera, then you don't need to use, well, then you don't get a lot of use of the Midas MR18, right? You tricked it. You tricked it. What does regular... Oh, that was a question for the bot. Okay, good. What does regular ChatGPT think of this question? Cinema camera 4K. Okay, it's doing better because it's not constrained to the format that I wanted it to respond to. So that's another interesting one. In the like prompt I gave my bot, I told it to answer like in a certain style, and that does not lend itself to making lists like this. So the regular not constrained one is doing better here. Camera to the ATEM, yeah. Audio output into the ATEM, okay. Set the audio input source, yeah. Connect the microphone to the camera. Yeah, it doesn't quite understand. The problem is that this configuration doesn't really make sense because the mixer isn't doing anything if you've got the microphones going to the cameras. So I think you fooled it. Trick question. Image by C says, if you made the corrected video with new information in it, how do you feed that info back into the ChatGPT, upload the transcript of the new video, perhaps? Yeah, exactly. So I haven't actually done this step yet, but this was something I was working on just yesterday. So this is gonna change quickly. But the my plan was, in addition to the comments that I fed it already, I want to also feed it the transcripts of my videos. And because I actually do, I actually take the time to do actual captions for my videos where I've like gone and made sure that it uses the proper spelling of things and uses proper spellings and punctuation and all the terminology is actually correct. I've checked it. It's not just doing the speech recognition. I think that'll be very good training data for it because it is not going to, like, the auto transcript sometimes thinks I'm saying ATM when I say ATEM. It'll write it as ATM, which is something totally different, obviously. So with the good transcripts, I think it'll actually do pretty well. Okay, here's a good suggestion. Try this prompt in GPT-4. Write an XML macro for an ATEM Mini ISO to have picture-in-picture with HDMI 1 and 2. Let's do it. Let's go over to here and make it use GPT-4. I'm going to say ATEM Mini Pro ISO just to be clear. Let's see how it does. It's thinking. Oh, cannot provide an actual XML file here, but I can give you a description of how to create one. Okay, let's see what it does. Note that XML macros are not officially supported for the ATEM Mini series. Not officially supported? Create a new XML file. I don't know if this is doing what we want it to do. Oh, now it's given us some XML. It just said it couldn't make an XML file, but it's making one. This is pretty amazing. I do like that it's describing what it's doing. I wonder if we can actually take a macro and make it change things about it. Okay, it does seem to know a lot about ATEM macros. Wow. Okay, so it set upstream key to pre-multiplied. It set the fill source to input 2. What's it going to do next? Set key source to 1. That's interesting. It's going to do a flying key. Oh, we're gonna plug this into the ATEM after it makes this and see what it does. Did it just stop? Uh-oh. What happened? It just gave up. It gave up here. Interesting. I don't know. Let's try it again. Okay, while that's going, let me take a look at the chat. Piper blushes, I use it all the time to correct my macros. Really? Okay. Plugging into the ATEM is the true acid test. Yeah. Stinger key function. Oh yeah, that's something that I noticed. That it names the history based on just, it makes up a name for it. Oh, here we go. Now it's just giving us XML. It's not like, oh, I don't know how to generate XML, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we'll let that run for a little bit. I think Azure just ran out of process. If it stops, type continue. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's funny. We'll do that next time if it follows. You ran out of tokens. Okay. If you pay, it will go faster. I did pay for it. That's how I have GPT-4. So we'll see how it is getting farther. Is this correct? This does not look correct. There's no step in macros. Is there? I didn't think there was. Now I'm questioning everything. Let's take a look at some XML from macro pool, macro up. Yeah, there's no step. So I don't know what it's doing. Is the top one called ATEM? No, it's called profile. We'll see if it can correct it. But what is it? Let's see if at least. No, it's just making stuff up. It's hallucinating. I'm gonna say that was worse. This looks like generic XML, not XML specific to the ATEM switcher. Fix the XML so that it works with an ATEM Mini. Let's see if that works. Anyway, we'll let it run for a little bit. Oh, it says, I apologize for the confusion. Here's an updated XML macro for the ATEM Mini Pro. This is not fast. Okay. Can you feed it an existing macro to give it the format? Yeah, maybe. I think maybe if I also tried to like, well, it's getting closer. Macro underscore pool is not correct, but at least now it's doing macro and op actions, which look like this. So that's better. This is one of the ones from the ATEM Mini Extreme super source. I like that it adds comments. HTML1 is main source. This is looking better. Try the reverse feed it in macro and see and ask what it does. That's a good idea too. Okay, but I was trying to focus on PK bot for this. Let's see if there's any other questions I can ask PK bot. Oh, here's a good question, which I think I may have to answer without the bot. Is it possible to create a live green screen composite scene, live camera and still photo background into a super source with the ATEM Mini Pro Extreme? Live green screen composite into a super source. No, that's not possible. So the problem is, let's see. Let me go over to Oh, my Extreme is not on the network. I don't know how that happened. Let's go over to the one at home. I think it's that. Yeah. So if you look at the SuperSource boxes, can only contain camera sources or media player. So there's no way to give it like, actually, so with the ATEM Mini Extreme, no, because you can only give it camera sources or media player. However, what's missing is what you can do with any that has more than one mix effect in it. So here, if you look at SuperSource on the 4ME, now I have 4 mix effects. A mix effect is like an ATEM Mini, where it's the thing that has like the upstream keys and it can switch inputs. So I have 4 of those in this switcher. I'm only using mix effect 1 for the show. So I'm on SuperSource 1 right now. So let's take SuperSource 2, which is not on air yet. If you look at the sources, box 1 is one of these inputs, but not only do I have the 40 inputs, I can also set it to some of the other mix effects. So let's set it to mix effect 2. So now see the source of box 1 is not a camera. Now it's like another layer in the switcher. So let's set box 2 to my camera, my main camera. Oops, that was the wrong camera. And what I want to do now is where is it? I'm going to show you SuperSource 2 on the stream. Hit tab. So this is SuperSource 2. So I've got my camera and mix effect 1, which is set to a multi-view, but let's set it to the other camera, right? So now I can switch that box by switching over here, which is kind of cool. And now what I can do is in mix effect 2, I can do a green screen. So I don't have a good green screen here, but we can sort of do it. If we go to upstream key 1 on ME2, we do a chroma key. Let's sample that green. Oh, why is it not? Why is that black? Oh, multi-view 3. That's why I want to sample the table camera. We'll grab that bluish color. And then if I turn that on, we'll fill it with media player. My thumbnail. Let's see. No, fill. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to green screen the table camera onto something else. So I need to fill the something else. Let's put media player 1 in the background. There we go. So now this is what it looks like. So I've got my channel art in the background. Let's use the thumbnail instead. And I can now chroma key the camera over that. If my green screen was better, it would be a better effect. And that's inside that box. So now, because it's inside SuperSource, the SuperSource box, I can move, wrong box. I can move that box around, and that's what you're trying to go for. You can't do that in the ATEM Mini Extreme because there's only one mix effect, so you can't do that combination on that layer. There is a comment here from Dan explaining video. With ATEM Mini Extreme, you can use an upstream key with a flying key to overlay a chroma keyed source over a box. So that is the workaround with the ATEM Mini Extreme, and we can just simulate it on this one. If we only are looking at one of the mix effects, in this SuperSource, let's say I wanted to chroma key that table over my computer screen, we can kind of get it to do something similar, but it's not really the same thing. So let's take upstream key 1, fill source is the table camera. And then let's turn that on so we can just see it. Oh yeah, the chroma is wrong. So let's sample. There we go. Sample that color. So now I'm chroma keying the table camera over, and the bottom is being transparent like the last one. But if we use flying key, we can shrink it and move it. So I can like put it over there. I can make it bigger so that it is getting close to the size of my computer screen. And it kind of looks like it's in that super source box, but it's definitely not in the super source box, right? So it's fiddly to get it actually to look right. So it's not, you can do it sort of, and like obviously you could this is pretty good. You could save this into a macro so that you can restore this state pretty quick. But the problem is that if I wanted to move the super source box, the flying key isn't going to move with it. So if I go over to super source 1 and I move the box, the overlay isn't moving with it because it's not actually in that same layer. So it's close, but it's not quite the same. But this is the best you can do with the extreme. Oh, now I have to get rid of that ridiculous thing. Graham says, could you send a chroma key output to one of the outputs on the ATEM Mini Extreme and bring it back in with a short cable, a bit like getting the multi-view into an input? Not quite, because there's no alpha channel in the video signal. So there's no alpha channel, so it would come through as just like a black background, and then you have to luma key it, which is the same problem that we were in the first place. So not really. If you are using the actual Ultimat, like separate chroma keying box that I was showing a couple weeks ago, that can output 2 video feeds, and you get the like video signal and then the alpha channel as a separate video feed. And you could bring both of those in and then use a chroma key in another ATEM to properly do the, or not chroma key. How would you do that in this? It's luma key, where you use one of the inputs as the fill and the other as the key, and check the pre-multiply key box. So you're kind of just always back in the same situation though, because you only have that one mix effect. Let's check in on our macro. Okay, this looks better. Should I try to make it fix this on its own? Because this is not going to import. But I think these are all correct now. So it's got HDMI 1 as main source. That's program input. Okay. Key source type 4, we're going to have to just trust it that that's the correct key type. Key fill source is 2, HDMI 2, yeah. Set key box properties, which is setting the X position, Y position, and size to a quarter. Okay. And set it on air. Let's try it. Let's try it. So let's take, let's see, somewhere I have my Constellation. Let's do a fresh export of this. Let's do a save as, not in the, I guess in the ATEM autosave is fine. Constellation macros, and then we'll only save the macros just so it's a little bit easier to manage. And then let's go find that file. There, ATEM autosave, Constellation macros. So let's just let's make a new one down here. We don't need the macro pool thing, and we'll see what this does. Let's just call it index 16 and cross your fingers. Restore. Okay, it didn't error, but I don't see anything. So it didn't work because it should have been there. It was called that, and it should have been after the test. So there's an error here somewhere. No idea what it is. Let's make a macro that does this and see what it does to compare. And then maybe we can tell it, here's the fixed one. And then, okay, what are we doing? So we're Why is it doing a cut? I don't know why it's doing a cut first. That's actually kind of weird. What we're trying to do is HDMI 1 as main, HDMI 2 as overlay. So if we make a macro, we call it pip HDMI 1 and HDMI 2. So we're going to set the program to HDMI 1, which unfortunately is going to show you that. So let's bring back that. We'll just take that action out later. Then we're going to take upstream key DVE, which hopefully that's the right. We'll see what index number that is for the action. Set it to HDMI 2. No mask. Where do we want this? We want this. We want it to be, let's say, a quarter. And then I don't know if this is at all the right position. Let's see. We don't want it there. We do want it here. Close enough. Now let's move it down to there. And then I guess that's it. Okay. So let's do that. Save. And see what it did. Let's grab that file. Okay, so it says program input super source. Yeah, instead of HDMI 1, it's fine. Key type should be DVE. Not key source type is nothing. So it did not understand. I think it doesn't know truly about macros. Michael has a good point. Is the syntax for these macros actually documented in many places online in written form, especially prior to 2021? Well, macros have been around a lot longer than that. So if they were documented, they should have been there for ages. But I do think that I don't think they're on a web page. If anything, they're in the PDF documentation, which I don't know if it ingested. So it must be going off of like Stack Overflow questions and stuff. Piper Blush says, don't use it on Sunday. All the preachers use it for their speech. Oh, interesting. That is a good point. Yeah, that's probably why it's slow right now. Maybe an OpenAI plugin is in order. Oh, I just realized I got my little picture-in-picture still on the screen. That's funny. Okay, anyway. That was fun. Mark says, can you use a companion macro to automatically set the X32 main mixer level to a better setting for your live stream? Yes, absolutely. And that's what I should probably do as part of my setup button. So let's actually do that right now. This is a good idea. So I have this button that I use to set everything up called pre-roll. And what this does is it sets media pools. It starts the countdown. It mutes my microphones, for example, all that kind of stuff. What I should do is also add in an action that sets the main fader volume on the X32. So let's find where that is. It's not mute, it's fader level, and it's not the mic, maybe it's this main stereo. I think that's what it is. Let's find out. Let's set it to -10 and see if that works. Oh, I don't want to actually press the pre-roll button. I need a test button for this. How about if I just do it here? So we'll do test X32. Oh, I forgot that it remembers actions now. So this is going to be main stereo, and we'll set it to -10. Let's see if this works. I'm going to press that, and my volume should drop, and there it goes. It did. Okay, so if I set it to 0, we should get back to normal levels. There it is. That looks good. So that means in my pre-roll, I have an action that sets that volume just in case I ever am in that situation again. It will now automatically bring it to the right level. So good question. Thanks for that. And now we fixed it. Okay. That was fun. I'm scrolling back through to see if there's any other questions that I can actually answer here. What are you doing? Says, had a thought. It'd be kind of cool if the Clarity M had a video out so you could monitor audio in multiple locations. I agree. That's the one thing I'm disappointed about, because I would love to be able to feed that back into the switcher, for example, to be able to show it to you on the stream, but also so that I could push it out to another streaming encoder to watch it remotely. So that's the only downside of that thing. It'd be interesting to see how PKGPT handles the software versus hardware-based streaming and switching. Wow, my face. Yes, I did a couple of those questions to test with, and it did actually do pretty well. What's a good way to ask that? What's like an actual question somebody would ask about? Well, how about like, what should I use OBS or an ATEM Mini for live streams? Let's see what it thinks about this. Oh, maybe I should ask, what are the, of course, what depends on your needs. But again, that is how I actually answer this. So that's fair. If you're comfortable with OBS and wants to use the graphics that it offers, okay. Yeah, hardware solution. That's pretty good. What about, how about what are the main differences between using OBS and an ATEM Mini for live streams? The main difference is that using OBS requires a computer to process the stream and apply graphics, which could potentially crash and interrupt the live stream. I do say that all the time, don't I? On the other hand, the ATEM Mini has its own hardware for processing and can be more reliable. However, if you want to use the more advanced graphics, you will need to prepare them beforehand and upload them to the ATEM Mini. That is a very fair answer. That must be from one of the comments on this video. Yep. Fantastic. Good job, PKBot. Good answer. Let's see what regular GPT thinks. Is this V4 API or 3.5? As far as I know, the V4 API doesn't exist yet, so it is 3.5. So let's go over to 3.5 and see how it does with this question. Again, it's in answering a different format because I didn't constrain it in this prompt. Hardware versus software. Yeah, cost, complexity. ATEM Mini is relatively straightforward to use. I don't know if I would say that. Frankly, I think both are pretty complex because you can't do everything with the ATEM buttons. And then when you go into the software control and it's just like this huge mess of options. OBS does offer more customizations. I agree with that. Compatibility. This is not quite true either. ATEM Mini is designed specifically for use with certain cameras and hardware devices. It's only true in that it has some features specifically for Blackmagic cameras, but otherwise it is compatible with Mac and Windows. It works as a webcam with Linux, but the software control doesn't work on Linux. And but it'll take any HDMI source. So mixed results on this, I think. Let's ask GPT-4. Let's see if this is any better. It is slow today. Here are the main differences between the two. Hardware versus software. OBS is a free open source software that can be, it's probably going to say the same thing, isn't it? Let's see if it gets the, does any better. Okay, we're gonna come back to that because it's taking too long. It's like going at the speed of I would read it, which I guess is fair. Oh, V4 is being slowly rolled out still. There's a couple of people with it, which is why I asked. Yeah, I don't have API access. I did just apply for it yesterday, but they're probably not gonna give it to me because I'm not like trying to build a startup on it or whatever. Eli, the electronics guy. I just saw this monitor on another channel with 4 HDMI inputs. Have you ever used the LG 43 UN700? Allows for quad split with 1080p into the 4K. Oh, that's a cool idea. No, I haven't used that one. Let me copy that to see what it looks like. It's not even very expensive. Wow. 4 HDMI inputs, then you can just feed 4 split screen. So it's like a giant version of the one that I've got up here, actually. This one is also 4 input, and this is just 1 input right now, but I forgot it's one of the function buttons I've assigned to it, but you can tell it to show the split view also, which was what I used for that in the video about multi-view for the original ATEM Mini. This looks like a cool monitor. It looks like a 43-inch version of that. Cool idea. Don't know anything about it, but wow, 43 inches is really big for a monitor. That's like the size of my TV at home. Huh. Good price. Interesting. That is my thoughts. Okay, it got pretty far with the answer. It's doing a lot more. Okay, hardware versus software. OBS is free, open source software. ATEM Mini is a hardware device. Acts as a video switcher, audio mixer. Okay. Input and output. OBS can handle multiple video and audio sources, but must be connected to your computer. Yeah. ATEM Mini is built-in HDMI inputs. Customization and overlays. OBS offers extensive customization options. Yeah, sounds good. Built-in plugins. Sure. Provides some customization options, but does not have the same level of graphical customization. That is true. Continue. Ease of use and portability. This is actually doing a very good job comparing these two. I'm impressed with GPT-4's answer. David, thank you for the reminder. If this is interesting or informative, click the like button already. Thank you for the reminder. Okay. I just remembered before we wrap up, one thing I wanted to share on the stream to give you another peek. On my Instagram, I posted this last week. Made a little video about it, which was kind of fun. A new PK1 product. So let me show this to you while I go grab it. This is the new Stream Deck stand or PK1 stand for the Stream Deck. I'll grab this link and drop it in the chat as well. And this is a website that I just dropped the link to. So it's a stand specifically for the Stream Deck XL, which obviously you don't necessarily need a new stand for it because the one that it comes with is fine. Let's see if I can grab my Stream Deck. I'm actually using it here, so I can't pull it out too far. So this is my Stream Deck with the built-in stand, and the replacement stand, slightly different angle, which is this angle matches the angle of the ATEM Mini Extreme stand, which is nice. So if you have them side by side, it looks a little better. But the very cool part is that you may notice that there is a Raspberry Pi stuck to the bottom of this. So it's got these little holes for mounting the Raspberry Pi to it. And I've got the Pi with the, I always use these heat sinks with it, which are this aluminum thing that bolts onto the back. It's not really a case, but it covers everything. I like this a lot, but this obviously goes onto the same screw holes as the Pi it mounts to, and then the whole thing just attaches to this. So the idea is that if you're using Companion and a Raspberry Pi, then you can put the Stream Deck itself on this stand and then run a little short USB cable into this Pi that runs Companion. So then it's like a totally standalone thing. So to power this, you would plug in USB power to the Pi, and then a short USB cable into the Stream Deck, and then probably plug in an Ethernet, but it would work wirelessly also. Ethernet will just be more reliable. And then you've got a nice little standalone companion controller for it. So that is the new product. I am very happy with this. I think it's a fun addition to the lineup. And yeah, it does also then look better when you have it next to the ATEM Mini Extreme. Oh, where'd my keyboard go? Would be great if I could get my hands on a Pi. That is the problem. That is the problem right now. Ray says that's pretty cool. Thanks. Yeah, I think so too. Could you make one that fits 2 XL Stream Decks, top and bottom? Ooh. Interesting. I suppose so. I'll have to think about it. Because you should be able, yeah, you can run 2 Stream Decks from a Pi. That's how I've been using it. Interesting idea. If you would like that, comment below, because the more support we get for these things, the better. And there's a lot of just stuff that goes into any of these new product launches. So the more demand for it, the better. Otherwise, it doesn't necessarily make sense to do it. Are there Raspberry Pi alternatives that perform better than the Raspberry Pi for what you do with the Pi underneath? I haven't really tried looking for any others just because I bought a bunch of Pis in like 2020 and 2021 before they got hard to find. So I have like a bunch of, that's why I just have this extra one lying around. Because I've got one on the back of my 2 3D printers. I've got one for the Stream Deck that's actually in use right now. There's one at home for the Stream Deck, and I've got the 2 VPN servers. Sorry, I bought them all, but I bought them in like 2021 and 2020, and before that, I guess. So I haven't tried looking for anything else because I haven't needed to. Hopefully they get the production sorted out. Yeah. David says, can you constrain ChatGPT to use your YouTube channel as a source of answers? Sort of. So again, this is like not technically training ChatGPT because the training is already done. That exists, but I can feed it more information to like help constrain it. And part of the instructions that I have given it is to only answer based on the set of information, new information I've added. So it is not supposed to answer with information from other places, and it mostly does follow that. And that's why, again, when you look at this answer, it's linking to this YouTube video, which is telling you where it is sourcing this information, which is why most of these answers do sound like something I would say, because it is based on stuff I've given it. This should also get a lot better once I actually finish feeding it my transcripts from all my videos. So that's probably this afternoon's project once I get home and yeah. So the shortage is Aaron's fault. Got it. Yeah, sorry. I bought all the Raspberry Pis. They're just so useful. You can add more Stream Decks to a Pi. Keep in mind the Stream Deck gets its power over USB, so if you want more than 2, use an active USB hub with external power source. Good tip. Yeah, I've only tried plugging in 2, I think. Yeah, I've only tried plugging in 2 XLs, which it does do. And right now, the Raspberry Pi that's in the rack back there it has this XL on it, and then it has the small one that's over on the table. But I did have 2 XLs on it for a little while. But yeah, the active USB hub is a good tip. Just probably not going to fit that all under this stand. Nil says, I bought a bunch of Pi 4s when they actually cost 35 euros. Yeah, that's when I got all of mine. They were not overpriced at that point. Sometimes I would buy them with the little starter kits that include the heat sinks and stuff and like a power supply, but I got a bunch that were super cheap also. You should sell a holographic PK bot we can query about these things at home. So if this actually does end up working well, I do want to make it available to more people to actually use. Because like this is a website. I just hid the URL bar so you can't see what the website is right now. But this is a website, and theoretically I could just make this available to anybody. It does use API credits that are like charging against my account, so it's not like entirely free. But if this does end up working, then yeah, what I want to do is make it available to more people. So my thought is maybe this is one of the perks I could give for a membership program, which doesn't yet exist, but that would make me feel better about launching one, because I want to be able to make sure that I'm actually like giving people more things than just, I don't know, the emojis that you get in the chat or whatever. Neil says 2 XLs is fine. Any more and you'll get brownouts. Okay, cool. Yeah, good to know. I power my companion Pi with a PoE to USB adapter. Oh, that's a good trick. Because the PoE hats for the Pi, I don't own one. They seem expensive and bulky, so I think the PoE to USB is a good trick for that. Okay, question for PKBot. What future trend will surprise us? Let's see what it thinks. I don't have a good way to copy text without it like double appearing on the stream. Let's see what it thinks. It's probably not gonna do very well with this. It's difficult to predict the future, but one future trend that could surprise us is the development of new and innovative live streaming platforms. As live streaming continues to grow in popularity, there could be new platforms that emerge and offer unique features and capabilities that we haven't seen before. Okay, nice and vague. Sure, we'll take it. Okay, let me see if there's any other actual questions I can answer before we wrap this up. We don't have Lily's stream to jump to after this because she's moving to her new live stream time this week, TBD, I think. So I'm not going to have her stream to send you to over anymore. So we'll have to just, maybe that means we're going to start going more than an hour and a half. I used to end up going 3 hours sometimes on Sundays. Raul says, how do you connect the clarity in your setup? Oh yeah, so this is, this has a input that's, what is it? The AES audio, I think is what that's called. But basically what it does is there's an SDI cable that runs out of the rack into a converter that's under the desk. And that converts the SDI output to that audio signal. It's using one of the Blackmagic converters for that. And basically what it means is there is a output in my, where is it? There's an output in my, oh, where is it? I thought it was one of these. Interesting. Where did it go? Now I can't. Oh, you know what it is? I remember what it is. It's the web presenter. So the web presenter has a loop out. So the loop out of the web presenter goes into that. So basically what it means is that I'm always seeing the audio of whatever's on the web presenter. So if I change what goes into the web presenter, I can change what that sees. So the ATEM feeds the web presenter. Right now it's feeding it ME1, but I could feed the web presenter with like a camera directly, and that would then change the audio meter as well. Let's see if that's true. So let's change to the desk camera. So you're going to get a close-up of me, but the audio, no, the audio is using the ATEMs, of course. There's no audio mixing the ATEM. So it's not an SDI matrix. If it was an SDI matrix, you would have heard the camera audio, but there's only one audio bus in the ATEM, so you only hear the program audio. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's basically the pass through of the web presenter so that which has the audio that is on all of the outputs of the ATEM, but that's the audio signal that it's getting. Is there an audio control option on ATEM Mini with companion except macro without using a macro? Yeah, macro there is. Let me go back to my companion config, and where was that extra button that I made? I don't need this one anymore, so let's get rid of that. If you look at, I should have an ATEM Mini in here. So ATEM SDI, same thing. I believe it's called Fairlight. So yeah, Fairlight, any of these set input gain. So that's what you can do. So you can mute it by going to -100, or you can set it to 0. That was the question, right? Question from George. My computer has an external screen connected via HDMI. Is there an option to have the screen also as an input in the ATEM? Good question. I wonder if the bot can answer this, actually. Let's find out. I feel like I've answered this enough times in the comments. Let's see what it does. Yes, you can do that. Connect an HDMI cable from your computer's HDMI port into one of the inputs on the ATEM Mini. Then connect a monitor to the output 1. This is true. So this is one of the options that you have. Basically, computer output into the ATEM first, and then output from the ATEM to your monitor. So your monitor is no longer connected directly to your computer. That does work. If you have the ATEM Mini, what you'll want to do is set it to, let me go back to the ATEM Mini. That is what camera 1 direct is for. So if you plug in your computer into the input 1, then you set your output of the ATEM Mini to camera 1 direct. What that does is it outputs whatever's on input 1 with no processing delay. Otherwise, there's like a 1-frame delay, which is a little bit annoying to use as a computer. So that's what that's for. The other option is a splitter. So computer into an HDMI splitter, 1 copy to the ATEM, 1 copy to the monitor. And cheap splitters should work fine with that, and you won't get a delay that way either. If you have the ATEM SDI, then, or any SDI switcher, then you can effectively do the same thing. You take the computer HDMI into an HDMI to SDI converter. If you use the bidirectional converter, it'll give you 1 HDMI out and 1 SDI out. So that's what I'm doing here, actually. So HDMI out into this monitor, SDI out into the switcher. So that's exactly how I'm getting my computer screen here, but also into here so you can see it. So SDI goes into the switcher so you can see it in the stream. HDMI goes to this monitor in front of me so that I can see a copy with no delay. So there's 3 options for you. The bot did okay on that, but it didn't give you the full context. Are you going to make a BMD prediction wishlist video? Probably not. Probably not. I don't think I have time or energy to do that because NAB is like 2 weeks away now. Okay, 3 weeks. I think I leave on, when do I leave? I leave on, oh, it is 2 weeks away. The 15th. 1, 2. Yeah, I leave on Saturday to get in. And I say probably not because I have a whole plan for creating content at NAB, which I think is more important than a prediction. So I'm going to save the effort for that. Scott says, I'm powering the companion Pi for my wife's streaming setup with PoE hat. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that works. Roxanne says, once again, the HDMI out on another ATEM Mini Pro died. Any idea what went wrong? Yikes. No, I don't know. That's really a bummer. Tips on measuring instruments. No, I don't know. I still haven't had any HDMI ports on mine die. Just cross my fingers. No more last minute Lily support sessions on the stream. Yeah, I guess not. I guess not. But if she has any requests, we can always do them not last minute, because she's still going to be doing weekly streams. It just won't be immediately following mine. Neil says, if another really popular streaming platform would emerge, it would be a surprise. That is true. Can you use a Stream Deck with Companion to input specific information on multiple web pages as a macro to start your live streaming captioning? I guess more generically would be, can I use a Stream Deck with Companion to create macros that open multiple apps on a computer and input information? Probably. I don't use my Stream Deck in a way that I can do this, so I can't really show you. My Stream Deck is connected into the Raspberry Pi, which means I don't have the Elgato software running, and the Stream Deck is not connected to this computer at all. So I can't do anything on this computer, really. You can use your Stream Deck in a mode where the Elgato software is still running the Stream Deck, and then Companion just like gets inserted as some of the buttons on the Stream Deck, which I don't like. I prefer managing it entirely with the Companion software, but you can do that mode as well, and then you can still use the regular Elgato software to do computer stuff with your Stream Deck. I use a Hollyland Mars 400S to transmit our rodeo cams to the ATEM. When a bunch of cowboys get in the way of my line of sight, I lose the camera. Oh no. Is there a recommendation in the same price range? I think the answer is no. I think anything in the same price range is going to have the same problem. Even things that are in a different price range are probably not going to, like, at some point it's just physics is the problem. Probably the best thing you can do is get the receiver up in the air higher. So if you can put your receiver on a 10-foot pole, then you'll have, you know, line of sight that goes over the top of things instead. But ultimately, there's only so much that money can solve about RF frequencies. Eric says, best way to bring in a smartphone into a live stream via Wi-Fi. I need best possible frame rate. All solutions I've tested, SRT, Lyrics, and NDI, feel a bit choppy when panning. If you've already tried NDI, so there are a couple different NDI modes. You can change the bitrate in them. So you could try a lower bitrate mode. The other option that you haven't tried out of this list, I actually did a video about this like just last week. I think it was last week's video. 5 days ago. Yeah, it was this week's video. 3 different ways to use an iPhone as a wireless camera with the Yolobox. This is one of these ways is specific to the Yolobox. Oh, why did it paste all this extra junk? So this video, I just dropped the link in the chat. The only the last one is actually specific to the Yolobox. So the 3 options are, you've already done the NDI version, but that's NDI into an Apple TV is what I've done here, as well as the Bird Dog Play. But then there's also AirPlay to an Apple TV. And then you have a couple different apps you can use with that. It's a pretty good option. Worth a try if you haven't tried that option yet. Let's see if I can do that really quick. So basically what you do is you AirPlay your screen to an Apple TV. And now I've got my phone here. And then if you open up one of these apps, like Overviewer, then it shows you the phone camera wirelessly. So here's panning around the studio. That looks pretty good. I guess there's a couple of little blips, but I think ultimately you're not going to be able to do much better. But this is pretty good. Now I can show you a close-up of the Stream Deck stand. I should do this more often. This is actually kind of cool. And I left it in portrait mode, which is kind of fun. The Overviewer app I found is nice because it doesn't have any features. So it just always works. You don't have to fiddle with stuff. Panning around. Okay, I see a couple little frame skips here and there. If I pan slowly, it's a little better. Faster. It's not too bad. It's actually, it's pretty good. Let's get that out of here. Yeah, so try that. Try AirPlay to an Apple TV. Otherwise, let's see. SRT over with lyrics. Yeah, I think that one's gonna, because you're doing. I don't know why. Actually, yeah, I don't know why that would be choppy. So the other thing to do is to double check your network. So if you are on Wi-Fi, if you're on a Wi-Fi hotspot that's used by a bunch of other devices, you'll be fighting for time on that radio. So if you have the option of setting up a dedicated Wi-Fi hotspot, that'll be better. And then the other thing is if you're in an area with a lot of other Wi-Fi traffic that's not necessarily on the same hotspot, that could also be interfering. In which case, you're kind of just out of luck. Yeah. Pat says the only issue with changing the angle of the Stream Deck for the new stand is now the angle is different than the Stream Deck Plus, which I have sitting next to the XL. Oh yeah, that's true. No, this is really it's really meant for like you have one of these with your ATEM on the desk. Neil says I connect all HDMI cables and devices to the ATEM when it's off. Only when everything is seated securely, I switch it on. Might be snake oil, but it's served me well so far. That is a good point. Generally, that is safer when you're connecting cables when they're not powered on. I will say I have not ever done this, and I yank stuff out and plug it in all the time when stuff is powered on, and I haven't had a problem. But technically, it is safer to do it, to pull stuff out when it's powered off. Dan's Planning Video says AirPlay to Roku also works well and is a lot cheaper than Apple TV. Apple TVs are not that expensive, really not. Where is it? TV. Apple TV 4K, brand new. Wi-Fi version is $129. If you want Ethernet, it's $149. That's a decent price, and you can do an awful lot with these things, which is really nice. But yeah, the Roku is cheaper. The other one that I've used is, I've never used a Roku with this, but the other one I did use, which I did include in that video, is the Mirror Screen devices, and those are like $30, or sometimes even less, and they do work surprisingly well. I used that for the stream last week in Japan because I didn't want to bring an Apple TV because it's like the Apple TV is like this big chunk, and I need a power cable for it, and the Mirror Screen is this little tiny dongle. So the Mirror Screen devices, or I guess a Roku, definitely a nice option as well. I don't know about the Roku, but I do know about the Mirror Screen device, which a huge benefit is that it will broadcast its own Wi-Fi hotspot, and you connect your phone to its hotspot. And that means you're not on the common infrastructure with other stuff. And you don't need to worry about, like, I was at a hotel where I didn't want to rely on the hotel's Wi-Fi for the video signal. So so having the Mirror Screen broadcast its own hotspot was nice because it just bypassed that whole problem. Graham says, I once saw a nasty spark when unplugging an HDMI cable. Fortunately, it didn't seem to break anything. Yikes. Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like I've seen that at some point, actually. Last one for the PK chat. Where is the on-off switch on an ATEM Mini Pro? Okay, let's see what it does. Where is the on-off switch on the ATEM Mini Pro? Oh, wow. On the ATEM Mini Pro, the on-off switch is located on the back of the device beneath the AC adapter input. Where did it get that from? It also just made up this URL. That's interesting. Okay, well, clearly the AI is not taking our jobs just yet. Okay, so no prediction video, but do you have any NAB predictions? I sort of. So, okay, I have some Blackmagic predictions. So they just launched. Oh my god, well, I'm so jet lagged. What did they just launch? The new ATEM. The new ATEM. That's where we are. So this thing, HD8. Really interesting device. I'm not going to get it. It doesn't make any sense for my studio, but super cool device. I think it makes a ton of sense in a lot of situations. One of the fascinating things is that they built in a whole bunch of stuff into this, including recording to 2 terabyte SSD, which then acts like a cloud pod, which is their cloud storage thing, and streaming bridges on all the inputs. So you can stream from cameras or other ATEMs into this device. And that suggests to me that they are going to be doing more announcements about things that you can do with those features. So things that enable essentially our cloud workflows. So I think we're going to see some new products that are along those lines of like cloud connected studios, cameras, hard drives, editing stations. And I think there's already quite a lot in the current set of products. And I think we're going to see a couple more things that like really tie it together. So that's my prediction. I don't know exactly what device that's going to be, but the Cloud Pod was a good example of that they announced last year, where it's like, okay, now you have network storage that also syncs to Google Drive and Dropbox. And now that's like integrated with this ATEM. And now your cameras can stream directly into that storage, which means essentially you can do live edits, live production and live edits of content extremely quickly distributed. So I think we're going to see something that is like connects it all together as a new product that they're going to announce at NAB. That's my prediction. Richie says, hi, everybody. Is Aaron still in Australia? No, I'm back in Portland. I was in Japan. I haven't been in Australia for a while. Vinyl Vinny, is there any prediction for the Mini Extreme range? I suspect no change. That's my prediction, is that this is a sufficient lineup for the next year. I don't think they need to change anything here. Could be wrong. We could see a vertical ATEM. Who knows? But they did just do the SDI versions, which are neat. And then like, again, because these have the streaming encoders, these can be inputs into these bigger switchers for like cloud workloads and stuff. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see anything new there, but obviously I could be wrong. We do still have that mysterious stinger button. No idea. No idea. Okay. They even issued too many models. I kind of agree, frankly. I think that they kind of fixed it with the SDI line, right? Because there is no non-pro version of the SDI. And like they didn't do the switcher without the streaming encoder. So okay. I think we're good. I think we're done for the day. It's been almost 2 hours now. Now that I don't have that hard cutoff to send you over to Livestream, I just can let this go long. So I'm gonna go get some sleep. Definitely not recovered from the jet lag yet. I'm glad I made it out today. It was fun. Thanks for playing along with PK Bot. That was a fun experiment. I'm gonna, in between naps, I'm gonna be feeding this more data. I have to get in the habit of not saying training because the AI people get mad if people say that. I'm gonna feed it more data. I'm gonna feed it the transcripts of all my YouTube videos, try it out, and yeah, maybe I will put it together as a part of a membership thing so that you can try it out and ask it questions yourself. Speaking of which, thanks to everybody who sends in super chats. Normally I would do the giveaway at the beginning of the month for anybody who has sent in super chats or participates in the chat. I did not have it in me to do that today just because came back yesterday. So still extremely jet lagged, but we will do that next week. So thank you all for joining. And at some point, maybe I'll turn these super chats into a membership program and give you access to things like PKGPT. All right, thanks everybody. And I will see you all again next week. Same time, same place. And then I will see you at NAB. So bye for now.